Questions to the Minister for Child Protection. I refer to the disturbing article in The Australian by Victoria Laurie on the 17th of November that revealed the Internal Department of Communities briefing notes highlights that the number of sex offenders in Roebourne and surrounds is substantially higher than what you have stated publicly, and I ask, can you confirm Legislative Council estimates and Financial Operations Committee annual reports hearings have revealed at least 6 child sex abuse perpetrators in the Pilbara region are likely to attend the same schools as their alleged victims? And 2, what is the real number of perpetrators and the real number of victims, and can you confirm they are all definitely out of harm's way?
Minister for Child Protection.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. This news that the member is asking about has actually been around for a while, so I'm surprised that she's taken a while to raise it in the House if she's not sure about the discrepancy.
Members.
Responding to the Council.
Members.
The article that was referred to in The Australian talks about a larger number of figures in relation to possible victims of child sex abuse in the Pilbara, and there were a couple of different briefing notes that were given to me late last year, and they were tabled in the upper house as part of the preparation for the annual report hearings. And those larger figures referred to, which were, there was a few different figures referred to in different briefing notes, but they referred to the possible number of victims. So when there were concerns about child safety in the West Pilbara, the investigations that were done jointly by police and child protection workers not only addressed those revelations where they had the children or their families coming forward and reporting abuse, but they were proactive. They went out and looked at, as you would hope that they would be, they went and looked at the number of children who might be at risk. They might be siblings, they might be spending time in public areas with those that had been abused. That referred to, at times, over 200 children that were at risk, or young people that were at risk. The number that we have given now to the House in the upper house and said publicly is that as a result of Operation Fledermaus there were 50 victims and 42 of those were children. 42 or 43 of those were children. The second question that the member asks is whether the public can be assured, or anyone can be assured, that where some of those children that are displaying harmful sexual behaviours, what the shadow minister in the upper house has referred to as perpetrators, where they might possibly be at school with their victims. And I have given assurance publicly that there's a number of different oversights which are given to the situation where there's children with harmful sexual behaviours and where they might be in the vicinity of their victims or indeed other children. And that is that there is a joint departmental response, so between the Department of Education, communities, child protection officers and also police. They evaluate what the possible risks are for children and managed at school. And of course, where those cases have been dealt with through the court provides another layer of oversight to make sure that there is proper safety in place. Now, this situation that I'm outlining is not particular in terms of child safety, where there might be children displaying harmful sexual behaviours and where there are other children at risk. That situation is not particular to the West Pilbara. In fact, we know that for a whole lot of reasons, often because those children have been victims themselves and then go out on to display harmful sexual behaviour, that those situations need to be evaluated in terms of what risk other children in the vicinity of those children displaying that behaviour. So this is not particular to the West Pilbara, but it is something that we've looked at very carefully. And despite the almost apparent glee with which my counterpart on the opposition in the upper house seized upon this information to say that there might be...
I'm on my feet, Member for Armidale. I call you to order the first time, and I also call the member for Hilrys for the first time. Minister, you'll get to the end of this, please.
The answer to the question is that the larger number that was referred to in briefing notes at the end of last year talked about potential victims. We now know the number of victims, which is, out of Operation Fledermaus, 50 victims, and 42 of those are children, are under 18, and that safety plans and oversight is in place to make sure that those children who are displaying harmful sexual behaviours are not putting other children at risk, either at school or anywhere else in the community.